recording. It's going to go through. All right, one more time. All right, welcome to Backstage with Ian and Joel. I'm Ian, and that's Joel, if you couldn't tell. Welcome to the show. We're excited to be here. We've got an awesome guest today, our friend Jenn. She's worked box office and house managed at the Showbox and Showbox Soto. Other venues we've worked with her at, sells merch all around town, like Climate Pledge Arena, like the big time stuff, and even like music and film festivals, like Palm Springs Music or Film Festival, Seattle International Film Festival, all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah. And then on top of all of that, runs a college radio promotion company called The Band Mom, thebandmom.com. Check it out. It's really, really cool.
Very cool.
Getting independent bands airplay at radio stations all across the US and Canada. I'm excited to talk to her about that. But yeah, how you doing, Joel?
Hey, doing all right, man. Doing all right. Been in this locked into the World Cup vortex, of course. And happy about it. Just outside of that, I'm really excited about Jenn. Talk about somebody who just forged their way, and nothing was handed to them, and they have made their mark on so many fronts, and they're young and they're still developing, so they've got so much like time and space to accomplish things. But yeah, I've had the fortune.
Not like us. We're old, right?
Yeah.
we're on the downward.
We're being led down to the river. Speaking of which, but yeah, no, I'm really excited about that because it's just like any other world in terms of work life. All kinds of people come into it in all kinds of different ways, and the ones who like try everything and fill whatever role and aren't afraid to like take things on, I feel are the ones that kind of over the long term become more legendary in this business. But
yeah, there's a lot of people that burn out and just disappear. I mean,
I've seen people
hit
the ground running, and and then 3 years later, nowhere to be found. So yeah.
It takes a special person to stick it out in this industry. And if you're consistent and you show up and you're reliable, that's, I don't know, that might be 90% of the game, at least on my end. Like,
yeah,
when I started, there were a bunch of other promoters in Seattle, and they just weren't consistent. They didn't communicate. They wanted to party and do all this other shit and didn't take it seriously. And they were all gone by the time I was one of the last ones standing. So
totally.
Jenn's very much.
I think perseverance, but also great work. Super awesome person to be around. Their presence, plus at any show that I'm fortunate enough to work with her. We still do when I make my way around some of the venues she's at, which is cool. And very excited. This is like I think I said earlier, self-forged type of person, and those are the people that have my deepest respect and admiration. And
so I mean, essentially today's kind of conversation is going to be like how you make your way through this world, this music industry world, how you got into it, or how you get into it, and how you stay in it, and kind of what a day looks like running a venue. We've all kind of run a venue. I ran a venue, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You ran a venue.
Yeah. But I think, like Jen's experience is really diverse, so I'm really excited to
Yep.
hear about that because I can't tell you what it's like to sell merch in a
I have no
room
idea. I'm excited to learn about that.
1,000 people or whatever. That's
Yep.
crazy. So I don't know anything about that. So I'm excited.
Yep. Like
Yeah,
and subscribe.
it.
We need people to
Please.
subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've been kind of stuck for a little bit. Subscribe, share it with your friends, whatever you got to do.
Yeah, if I can just say one little piece about that, it'll be short, I promise. We've started receiving some really great compliments, either via messages from listeners. We've received all of these. We've received messages from listeners, texts from people that know us, et cetera, giving us really good feedback. I mean, this thing is still raw and just starting out, but we've gotten overwhelmingly very positive feedback about what we're doing. Just had somebody yesterday say that they really appreciate Ian and I pulling the curtain back a little bit and just kind of showing, how to come in the door, because not every door is the same. And he said that navigating the world, and he's, by the way, this particular person has been playing music and actively receiving money for it for over 30 years, and said that he really appreciates the way this podcast. So please, if you can help us out, subscribe, send it to other people, urge them to subscribe. We really need to start doing some numbers so that YouTube won't kick us off. Anyway, we think we have something valuable, and if you think so, and you think other people might think so, please take a few seconds out of your day, because we would really appreciate it. It's all we need. Yeah, we just want what we're doing to get out as many people as are willing to hear it. So anyway,
cool.
I'm done.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, subscribe. And let's not delay this any longer. Let's bring Jenn into the conversation. Super excited to have you. Boom. There you go.
Yay.
How's it going?
It's going so good. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thank you for doing it. Like we were talking about before we started recording, you were at the top of our list from the very beginning. We just didn't want to completely embarrass ourselves in front of you straight away. So we had to practice before we brought you on. But thank you very, very much for taking time out of your Friday to do this.
Oh, what a pleasure. And hey, thank you for your comments about my youth. I think I might not be as young as you might think I am.
Your spirit is younger than
everybody's young.
That's true. Joel is so old. Everybody is young.
I've known you guys for over 10 years, both of you, I'm pretty sure.
You have.
And I moved to Seattle when I was 28.
Oh,
so
okay. There you go.
There.
I mean,
still young to me.
I'll take it. Thank you.
I'm still very much a child at your age, let me tell you. Mostly up here. Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you're here. Thank you for doing it. Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit about all the stuff that you're doing around town. But for anyone that's not familiar kind of with how you got going, and you said you moved here when you were 28. So how did you kind of get into working in music, in live music, and the other things you're doing, the band mom stuff, and then the film festivals too? I'm personally super interested in all that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
man, I think we might not have enough time.
Yeah, we're gonna need do a whole series, just each one of these.
We'll do what flows naturally, and we'll do another one.
Totally. Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with having to do another episode.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, it's hard to pick where the beginning spot is. I think the most beginning of my career is when I was in high school, when I was volunteering on the street team for some bands and some record labels.
Damn, street teams. I totally forgot about how big of a thing that was.
Dude, I know, yeah.
They were everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure they still maybe record labels don't do that, but I do think like venues do that. There are still street teams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that was an awesome like first experience, easy experience to like build and show and share enthusiasm and also meet people. In fact, I had a contact at one of the record labels that I was volunteering for, who my senior year of high school, my high school had this program they called Senior Project, where you could get out of class for 3 weeks to do an internship, or like a huge majority of what my classmates did was shadowing a former teacher or a doctor, like somebody at a local hospital. Those were by far the two most common things that anybody did for Senior Project. But I had this contact at this record label, which was in Nashville. I grew up in Ohio. I reached out to this person and was like, hey, I could do this thing for 3 weeks. Like, could you use help around the office? Like, I didn't know what any of the right words even to ask.
Wow.
I think that's I think that's a great lesson because sorry to interrupt your story, but I think that's just a great thing to emphasize is like I've had multiple bands tell me that they haven't reached out to the venue or reached out to another band because they didn't know what to say or didn't want to like to bug them or something. And it's like, if you don't ask, you don't know. And that's the only way things happen is if you reach out and ask. So just the fact that you already were doing that in high school is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also, so I was super duper lucky with just like my circumstances and my background, because this the lady at the record label was like, yeah, come do an internship. You could spend 3 weeks with us in Nashville. That seems so crazy now at this
That's nuts.
I was in high school in Ohio. My mom came with me and we spent 3 weeks living in a La Quinta Inn in Nashville, and I did
Holy
an
shit.
internship at this record label.
That is
it was
that's
amazing.
nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
Your mom was really supportive then.
Dude, shout out to my amazing mom.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Damn.
See, this is what fascinates me, because everybody's got a different story on this, and this is anyway.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, so that's what really like set me down this path. I really like got the bug from there of like, I really want to work in the music industry. Before that, my whole life until I was 17 or 18, I wanted to be a writer, and I kind of still do want to be a writer, but that really sent me on a trajectory, took a left turn and stayed going that way for 30 years.
That's awesome.
And then so another big part of my origin story is that I went to college in North Carolina, where I worked at my college's radio station. It's called Wake Radio at Wake Forest University.
All right.
And for like a year and a half, my last year and a half there, I was the music director of my college's radio station.
Oh, okay.
Which is a huge part of how I got to where I am. That experience has way more to do with my career than my degree does.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, my degree is completely superfluous, unnecessary, but my college experience absolutely led me to where I am. So I'm not saying don't go to college.
No, we touched on that on a previous
things.
Yeah, absolutely. Experiences and hands-on experiences. We talked about that in a previous episode where, we've had some people come straight out of music business colleges or whatever and kind of think they know what they're doing, but they have no kind of clue until you get your hands on it and you start working in it. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
True.
And again, it was through connections that I gained through that experience as a music director at my radio station that so that position is in contact with promoters who send music to radio stations. The music director has to be talking to those promoters every week, tell them how their records are doing, what they're adding into the airplay and everything. So I knew all the promoters. Then when I graduated from college, I ended up with an internship with one of them that quickly turned into an actual job in New York. So I moved to New York to work for this PR company.
Nashville and New York, straight. Dang.
Wow. Okay.
True.
So
I've been everywhere, man. As
yeah,
John
you
said.
have.
I also spent a semester in Australia in there.
Wow. Okay.
What? What'd you say?
I studied abroad in Australia in the middle there
Oh,
too.
wow. What? Please.
That's why it was a year and a half and not 2 years that I was the music director. Of my radio station.
I see. So you were at Wake Forest.
Mhm.
You got into college radio.
Mhm.
And you became the music director of said college radio station.
Yep.
And then,
which, by the way, was really easy for me because Wake Forest isn't known as a particularly like hip college. Like,
yeah,
it's known for college basketball and Greek
That's why I
life.
know
Like 80% of the student body when I was there was in fraternities or sororities, which
wow.
I was not interested in.
There's
at
not
all.
a lot of alternative culture, huh?
Yeah, right. So, honestly, guys, I'm not that cool, but it was easy for me to be like the coolest in this sense person at that school to like
Hell yeah.
slide right in. I didn't really have competition for the music director role.
Yeah.
Like if I'd gone to NYU, my life would have been completely different. I absolutely would not have been the music director at WNYU.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. But Wake Forest was a good place for you.
I got to stand out there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, but Wake Forest was a good place for you to, help you develop and discover who you are and what you're interested in.
Totally, sure.
So from Wake Forest, was Nashville afterAke Forest?
It was before. That was when I was in high school.
Before. Right.
Yeah.
So you did the internship. Then you went to Wake Forest. Then from Wake Forest, you went to
New York.
After that. Yeah.
Okay, so catch us back up with New York. So what was your experience like in New York?
Yeah, so I spent a year there working for a PR company that was the other side of the job that I'd been doing as music director.
Okay.
Which great experience. I'm super glad that I did it. But I ended up losing my job there after a year, which in retrospect wasn't that huge of a surprise. Almost everybody did. There was a huge turnover rate at that company.
Yeah.
Maybe should have seen that coming, but I'm so grateful for the experience. And then by that point, after a year, like I knew how to do the job. I knew the people, and I didn't really want to do anything else. So that's the point where I just decided to start doing it on my own. And that's when the band mom was born. And I knew some bands who, one in particular, I want to shout out my friends Chuck and Linda. Their band was called Hidden People. I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for them. They were like, we will pay you money if you will promote our record to college radio right now.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Your college radio time at that point to do band mom.
Yeah.
Okay. So it came from a very educated place. Thank you. Because I've known about band mom for a long time, but I've never really actually done any in-depth research.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, to you guys, of course, it would just be like background extra. We do live shows together. Yeah,
right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I appreciate knowing this stuff about how it developed because, like I said, I've known about it. I know the entity. I know what you do.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how this whole like origin story is really interesting to me. So
yeah, this is awesome.
Anyway. So yeah, so then band mom starts.
Yep. I was like,
or did you go back?
I was like 23 then, living in New York. And I did convince a moderately steady stream of bands to pay me to promote their albums, but it wasn't quite enough to be my only income to live in New York. So I asked about for some extra, especially nighttime jobs. I had one for a couple of years at this office that was a division of the Nielsen company, that do the TV ratings. It was a nighttime job where we watched TV shows and wrote trivia questions about them.
What?
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that's the only job in my life where I have a ID card with the job title writer on it.
Hell
Yes!
Like people.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. You were writing trivia questions. Oh man.
Yeah, I wrote a bunch of trivia questions about
cool.
The Office and stuff.
Yeah.
Damn.
That they went up on this website that I think doesn't exist anymore. It was called rewardtv.com that like at the time like you could join and like you like win points for answering questions correctly.
The trivia.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And then for the points you trade them in for like really crappy prizes. Like the best prize I ever heard of was there was a t-shirt with the Snuggle Bear. Remember that the laundry
the laundry bear. Yeah.
And I heard somebody got a $5 Taco Bell coupon.
Wow. All right.
Those were the best prizes.
Big ticket.
But that was an amazing job too. Like it was nights and I could basically set my own schedule, and everyone else I worked with was on a really similar wave. Like they were all creative types. Like it was a job that was writing and working with TV and at nights in New York. So like everyone, all of my coworkers were like writers, musicians, comedians, filmmakers. I still know so many amazing people from that goofy job.
That's cool.
That was really awesome. Yeah. But then the company shut down their New York office, moved to Florida, did not invite us along.
Yeah.
So I was kind of adrift again.
Yeah.
And at that point is when I kind of fell over backwards into a venue job. I had a friend who was booking shows at a couple of small venues in Brooklyn, and she said, I'm sure I could get you a job working the door there. And I was like, great, I need a job.
Hell yeah.
And that's how I got started on the path that eventually led to meeting you guys.
That's amazing.
At any point, did you think like, hey, I'm just going to get a normal job? Because I know for me, as soon as I got out of high school, I never wanted a normal job ever. And I've been fighting it ever since.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've spent a lot of time thinking about. That first year at the PR company was the closest. Like that was an office job that like the hours were like 10 to 7 in that office every weekday.
Well, yeah, but that's because that's the management side of
true
business. So
that's true. Yeah.
New York sets a time standard for everybody else.
That's true.
When I was a booker, and I know Ian has been through this too. If the New York
you gotta work with New York hours
at 10, and you know they're going to talk to you. Like I remember having one particular guy, without fail, every Monday morning at between 6 and 7 a.m. call me from his speaker box and ask me about the show. Yeah, 6 and 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to say, you're working, and the way I see it is you're working a front end, of the business job in New York City. I don't know. That's kind of like, whether people like it or not, the business end of music does revolve around that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You hit seriously one of the epicenters as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, for sure. When I lived in New York, it felt like living in the center of the world, for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that like that was by most definitions a real job.
And that's not to say that the music industry doesn't have real jobs. It's just it feels like if you do anything in music, it's kind of like fun.
Totally.
Like, and it's like you're choosing to do it. Like I could be a doctor, but I want to work with these bands, like
but
it's interesting.
Totally. Yeah.
But you know what? Because of one of my jobs, I know this firsthand from one of my jobs. There are a ton of paper pushers and bean counters, in this industry that
absolutely
aren't music, aren't necessarily music people. Some do. Some music people get really smart and get accounting degrees.
Yeah.
And that's like that's super thinking. But what I'm trying to say is that's like there's this whole industry as a whole is not just a bunch of creatives running around gigging their way through this is our reality. Yours and Ian's and mine. I think we all share. We're coming from the same angle, but I do want to just point out, like, I have a friend who bartended at a music venue, and then she got herself an accounting degree. Then she got an advanced accounting degree, and now she's working for one of the companies you work for, AEG, as the accountant. So shout out to my homie Shannon.
Shannon's so great.
Yeah. So I know her. Well, I've known Shannon. Shannon and I have known each other since 2-Bit Saloon.
Nice.
When she was the bartender, and I came in as one of the many talent buyers that they had. And so Shannon and I have known each other for a long time. But yeah, her story is that. So I just wanted to interject on that, because I don't want people to get the idea that it's just, because I think present company here, we kind of have a similar experience. We've all had to like forge our own way. You know, we've never really had a 9-to-5 out of it. I guess Jenn has probably the closest one.
1 year.
The most responsible of all of us.
But for those people who want a 9-to-5 life and maybe want to work in music, yes, there's a ton.
It does exist.
More on the corporate side, but if you go that route, Live Nation has a ton of that kind of work.
I will say, when I first started working at venues, I wanted to do it so badly, and it didn't pay anything. I sold food at the snack shack because I wanted to be around music. But during the day, I was a nanny for 2 years.
Whoa!
I was a nanny for 2 years for a 1 and a 3-year-old, and that funded my music path because I actually got paid to do that, like pretty good money.
You would be a nanny so that you could work at a venue.
And then I worked at a before and after school daycare for the next 7 years after that.
Oh my God.
Getting up at like 6 a.m. to do that, and then working at a club at night. So like I had to piece it together, and the whole dream was I want to work in music somehow. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to figure out how to do it. And the only way I could do it was to do these other jobs.
When I first moved to New York and my job was an internship before I got hired as a job, I had to do something for money. And my teenager job was a lifeguard. I worked as a lifeguard for like 8 years.
Damn. Okay.
From like summers through high school, and then it was my college work study job also at our campus pool. And my first summer in New York, I got a job at like a health center pool on the very top of a building that overlooked Central Park.
Whoa. Okay.
Pretty sick. I was a lifeguard to support my music industry habit for a while there.
Wow.
I think calling it a habit, it's like we're kind of all addicted to this a little bit.
Yeah, there's good. I think if you don't have that addiction for it, you're probably like, what the fuck are these people doing? Those of us who do, we just don't even understand not doing it or not trying. Yeah. And having to, piece things together with other jobs is like probably one of the biggest challenges that I've seen for a lot of people in this live event music industry. So like, it's a very real thing. And I think we should talk about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about it. I think we should talk about it because you know what? It's a very reality. That's another thing nobody tells you. You get a good gig for like, for me, my first year, I think, I started in spring, and so everything went perfect, for me through fall. And then winter came. And nobody told me about this. No more money, no more work, it's like
you gotta stack.
Everybody's already like everybody that knew already started pivoting, and I'm just like, what? And it even took me a few years to really like, shit, man, I better make plans for winter, because I knew a lot, and I knew a lot of people that would get caught
Yeah.
flat-footed. Yeah. So
Totally. Yeah.
what was
And
it?
this is why, like, this is why my experience is so diverse. Like, especially, my first couple of years in the industry with all that job turnover, just in the short version of the story that you just heard,
Right.
like, taught me that no job is reliable. Like,
Yep.
my dad worked as an accountant for GE for his entire career. Like, he got a job out of college and retired from that same job. And
Oof.
if that kind of job still exists in the world anymore, it's got to be rare, but it's definitely does not exist in the music industry.
Right.
So the way that I have, I don't know, I don't really want to say solved that problem, but addressed that problem is by having, like, not keeping all my eggs in one basket. Like, I have expertise in several different areas, so that when one starts falling away, I can just, like, lean into another one. That's why I do so many things.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a super smart way to approach it. And I kind of did the same thing for a long time, where it was like I didn't just go all in on this venue and all in on this venue. It was kind of like you kind of have to balance a bunch of stuff and kind of read the tea leaves a little bit and be like, okay, is everything gonna go to shit? We got time to pivot.
I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, we are just carnies, and we're just like set shows up, and like sometimes you pass through, like, for instance, overwhelming feedback that I've gotten right now is that times are a little bit slow for everybody. Real slow
right now.
Real slow for a lot of people. And I know this by the clubs that are usually having shows every night are doing like 3 nights a week, right now. And, this is for another time, but the elephant in the room is I remember when that changed, because summers weren't that bad. And then the festivals kicked in high gear and just flatline summer for indoor, because who wants to be in a sweatbox when there's an outdoor festival? But me, but most people know. And
that's why I work so many summer music festivals also.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you're all over the place.
Yeah, no, I have a ton of friends that are all out, doing Marymore and all, and out in Carnation and stuff right now. No, I get it.
I don't think I even told you guys, but this year I'm the assistant box office manager at Marymore.
Oh,
you are?
Yeah.
Oh,
damn, all right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I work with Andy Rowe over not at Marymore.
Mammoth. Yeah.
Yeah, he's my boss at Mammoth. Yeah, great guy, love him.
So since you touched on the box office thing, you're doing box office over there, and you do that at the Showbox and Showbox Soto.
True.
Can you kind of tell people who aren't familiar with what that job entails, kind of roughly what responsibilities are? Like, when I worked box office, it was basically working at Studio 7, I would just take the cash from people as they came in the door and check their names off. And then when I worked at the King Cat Theater for the year, I sat in their little thing where the Amazon headquarters is now. That's how I lost my job. They came in with like 50 guys in suits one day, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is something happening? And then the next thing I know, they're like, yep, tearing this building down. And I was like, well, I guess I'm out of a job. But I would sit in the little box office, waiting for someone to buy a ticket, and no one ever bought a ticket. I don't know why I got paid to do that, but it was awesome because I could just sit there and do whatever I wanted.
Do another job.
Yeah. Anyway, so for people that aren't familiar with like your responsibilities doing that, can you kind of give us a little insight into that?
Sure. Yeah. Sometimes it is selling tickets to people who walk up, but less and less these days are people, waiting until the day of the show and spending cash, or even, all the venues I work at can take credit cards as well. But way more often, everybody's buying their tickets online. So a lot of my job during the show these days is helping people figure out an app. I'm tech support a lot of the time.
Okay, and when you're working box office, let's talk about like before doors open.
Totally.
What time do you have to get there, and are you collecting all of the ticket sales like information and the
Is this, by the way, may I ask, is this what kind of which place are we talking about right now? Like where you're working? Is this an arena?
I was about to say it depends on.
Okay, yeah, it
depends on the job. Yeah,
ballroom. He does ballrooms, arenas,
I know
clubs,
everything.
Like,
let's focus on like a showbox.
Okay,
space.
so that's a ballroom that fits about 1,000.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I just want to put because we have to remember that some people are only listening to audio. So
smart. Yep.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So at Showbox, so Showbox, the Showbox, and Showbox Sodo. It's two different locations. It's the same job to most of us who work there. But at one of them, the call time for the box office person is 45 minutes before the doors. At the other one, the call time is 1 hour and 15 before the doors. But it's basically the same process at both. Which is we put together some reports that we send to the house manager. So it did take quite a bit of training on the back end ticketing system. They're actually right now, like this month, that process is changing. That I think actually going forward, the box office person may not be doing those reports anymore. But that's what my experience has been until today anyway. Putting together some reports on the ticket sales and sending them to the house manager, and then we get the guest lists usually from several different directions. Have a house guest list. That's the friends and guests of the people who work at the Showbox. And then there's the promo comp list. That's usually like giveaways from radio stations and I don't know what, websites and stuff. And then there's the artist guest list, which depending on how many artists there are, that might also be several lists.
Yeah.
And
when it comes to the guest lists, are you running around? You're not going to the bands and getting them yourself. When I did it, I would always have to be like, oh crap, give me your guest list, and I have to find the tour manager. And sometimes the tour manager's like, well, I only handle it for the headliner. You have to go find the other bands. You're not doing that at this size venue, right?
That's true. Yeah. For the artist list, the production manager is tracking them down. At a venue this size of the Showbox, there's a few different managers. There's the production manager who's handling the stuff with the artists and the stuff on the stage. There's the house manager who's handling like the guest services type of stuff. Although it is also the house manager who settles the show. I feel like I'm opening up too many directions.
No, it's fine.
You don't have to address it. You can just walk through it, and then we can describe shit. If it's too detailed, we can do it later another time.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. There's also the bar manager and the security manager, who are important but have less to do with my particular jobs. But I am sometimes a house manager at the Showbox. So it's the house manager who's handling the house guest list and the promo comp list. The production manager is handling the artist guest list. So if I don't have them, that's who I'm waiting on, and usually they're waiting on other people to get them to them. I'm just like crossing my fingers, hoping that they all get to me before the doors time. And, try and count up the number of people on those lists, and got to generate comps, which is a whole thing in the system. You got to pull them out of a bucket that's not the bucket of tickets available to sell to the audience.
So online or on the ticketing platform, you're basically designating the guest list and the other free tickets as comps so that you can keep track of those. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Like I'm printing out a free ticket for every name that's on the guest list.
Okay.
And I pile up that stack next to me, and also print out when we have will call, which is people are always getting will call and guest list confused. In my mind, they are clearly separate things.
Yes.
The guest list is free tickets that somebody set you up with. Will call is you bought a ticket, but you set it to not go to your app. You set it to be printed at the venue, and then you pick it up at the box office.
Yep.
Right.
That happens less and less these days. Also, honestly, a majority of shows that I work at the Showbox these days, we don't have any will call tickets, but sometimes we have, I don't know, 1 to 5 orders of will call that I'll print out and
because everybody's got it on their phones, right?
Yep, that's right.
See,
yeah, and that's why tech support so much of the job.
I'm the guy that doesn't have it on his phone, so I'm the will call.
Do you do will call ticketing?
Yeah.
No, you do guest list. You're just always on the guest list.
I mean,
Oh,
I don't know about
That's
that.
a major perk of this job.
If I went to more shows, I would be. I would. Yeah.
Ian has one of those like lo-fi phones, so he would not be able to get.
I can't do that. So
on
please never get rid of the will call or the physical tickets because people like me need them to survive.
Totally. Yeah, it's an accessibility issue. I agree. That's important.
Yeah.
There you go. Because that's the thing, man. We could, we could really disseminate this if we wanted to. Is like, the more of these kind of services that we lose, the less accessibility we have, which is
totally.
a big problem. And I want to see small independent venues keep those kind of things going. Like for instance, I do applaud El Corazon for having a ticket window for those people who want to show up in cash or whatever, or just want to go buy them and grab the tickets in their hand. That's how they feel better about it. You got to understand, that's the way this industry did business for 80 years. So to want everybody to get on the phone program and get plugged in, not everybody's even comfortable with that. So I appreciate that these things, but I do understand that as things get corporatized and numbers get looked at, these kind of things are going to just go by the wayside.
Yeah.
So
I do think it's generally a good thing, the push toward majority mobile tickets. Like, it definitely is more efficient for all parties involved. And also it's more environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
sure.
Way less paper waste. But I agree that that doesn't mean ditching the paper option altogether.
Be a way to serve the people that need it to be this way, because we got to remember, this whole thing is supposed to be about people, enjoying music. So it just seems like so. I wonder, with that said, what do you find to be the biggest? What differences stand out to you, Jen, when you work a big venue like a corporate kind of thing versus a small independent place? What's your mindset like and all that? How do you approach the two differences?
Well, the more corporate spots are usually better organized.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Yeah,
okay.
I absolutely am an independent-hearted girly. I'm always gonna side with the indies. But
that's where your heart is.
It is usually a less chaotic time at the bigger, more corporate venues.
Right.
The smaller and more independently run, unless it's the kind of independent company that has been going the same way for decades. Like, I'm thinking about the Crocodile. I recently had a owner changeover, but I think their management is still running things basically the same way. That's an independent company, but they're very organized and together. But the people who are staging a show for their first time, or even just like their 10th time ever, is it's going to be more chaotic and a little messier, but also I do notice they have more grace for people in unusual circumstances. Like you don't have to fit into a box as easily. It's wonderful.
What do you think if small venues, maybe like if there was like a central website or something for resource for small venues to kind of help like get their, be a little more organized, stuff like that, do you think that would be a helpful thing? Do you think there's a way to educate them into being more together, or do you think it's just the way it is? It's just fucking chaos, and it's always going to be up to the crazy owner or the non-crazy owner, whatever. They all exist.
I think if you own a venue, you got to be a little crazy right now.
You do. Exactly. I understand why they're
tough, man.
I'm not knocking anybody. Like I said, I'm not here to knock anybody.
There are definitely like tools that indies can buy into that can help a lot, like ticketing software, and like there's this thing called Prism that the Vera project uses that helps with settlement, that like we used to just type numbers into an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh no, and then we got the another thing, that Salesforce. Oh my, I hated that thing. Sorry, I will talk shit occasionally. I'm talking shit on that.
Prism is a great tool that has like a bunch of tabs of stuff you think about during the show that you it organizes it for you.
It interconnects a lot of things,
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I know we didn't quite finish the conversation on box office stuff, but this is awesome conversation about like what we can do to help small venues become more organized, because like you said, like if you make it for a long time, like a Numos or a Crocodile or whatever, you're gonna be organized. Like Numos is more organized than your whatever run-of-the-mill venue, but they've had to learn a lot to get to that point. And if you're a small venue, you can't make a ton of mistakes right out the gate because it's already like you're living on a knife's edge. So whatever we can do to help educate people, that's the goal here.
I mean, I'm just like spitballing here, but I feel like like most industries have quick story. When I was in printing, I used to be in auto related printing, and I worked at Auto Trader magazine. Then I went to work for a company called Macmillan Publishing that did Car and Track, Car and Driver, Road and Track, all these magazines. And they also did industry magazines for the auto industry. And and the only reason I'm talking about this is because that had lots of resources for within the industry, just industry to industry resources to help, even like, and then so like if there was an association for people in the auto.
There is one, Joel. It's NEVA.
I was going to say
they made it during the pandemic.
NEVA sends yes, NEVA addresses certain things, but NEVA doesn't address all the stuff I'm referring to. I'm talking about like instructional videos, like essays on like by people that do the show, that do the job, talk about what trends are coming that's affecting, like a resource for small clubs. Now, NEVA is a great resource for small clubs, but I feel
like they're just a new organization. I could see them growing into what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like a resource, because if you look, there's a lot of industries that have this they'll usually have a resource organization. They're usually a nonprofit, and then all the companies become members, and through that is how they fund what they start doing is they start creating safety protocol and, resource guides, how to do this, how to do that, how to upgrade your audio system, because some people have clubs that are running and they don't have like we're lucky in Seattle, every room has like just amazing audio people.
That's true.
But not every town has that. As a tour manager, I can tell you that's certainly the case. It's not the same everywhere you go. And it's like, I don't know. It's just an idea. We're just talking. But aside from that, and
I think just to emphasize Neva again is I think they do have a lot of those elements in there. And I know just from talking to Holly about the conference that she just went to, they had a lot of workshops and they had a lot of stuff that was addressing that and sharing knowledge and information, what is working at certain venues, what's not working at certain venues. It was an entire week of that. And it was like 1,500 venues from around the country came together.
Conference, right?
That was the recent conference that just happened. Yeah. So they are working on that. They do have on their website, they have an idea resource hub. You can search it. It's got a lot of categories of different ideas and things. So if you are a small business or a small venue, that is a great spot to start.
Every time I look through Neva, I just see the whole like the pressing issue, of venue shuttering and all that. But I never really noticed, although I'm not a member either. So maybe there's deeper stuff. That's cool. See?
Yep.
I know by us having a conversation. I do want to if it's cool, because I feel like there's a part that we haven't gotten to, and it's kind of jumping, but I don't know if this is cool with everybody, but I don't think we've talked about how you ended up in Seattle.
That's true. We didn't. It's it's a bunch of vague sentences.
From New York.
One thing.
From New York.
Yeah. So when I was in New York, for a while, I was managing a little baby band that is from Seattle, actually from Vashon Island. But they lived in New York at the time when I met them. The band was called the Pterodactyls.
Yeah.
And then they moved back home to Seattle while I still lived in New York, and I missed them. So I came to visit and loved it so much. I came to visit once a year for 5 years. I was spending at least a week at a time in Seattle, and usually even more like 2 weeks. And it was the best time of my year every time. And eventually I was like, why don't I just live here? By that time I was at the end of my 20s. I was single. I was doing the kind of jobs that I could do anywhere. And people wanted me to live over there. And then somebody I knew had a room opening up in her house. So I was like, all right, it's time. Drove a Penske truck across the country.
Damn. Okay.
And here you are.
That's awesome. That's a great thing to also emphasize is when you do work in this industry, you can, if you've worked at a club, well, obviously in New York, you're going to get some good experience, but you have the ability to move around the country and work at different venues all over the place. So it is a flexible career path in that regard.
Yeah,
totally. And especially at that time, I would have said my primary thing was the college radio stuff, which I do from home. I can absolutely do that from anywhere. Yeah. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you started working in venues out here, or were you still doing the band mom stuff?
Yeah, both. My first gig at a place that not just the band mom that I got in Seattle was for SIF, the film festival, which is then how I tripped and fell into that secondary career.
That's awesome. We need to have you back to talk about that in depth because
we can do the film thing separate, because I could get lost in that world.
Yeah, we could go for a long time on that.
But I did also, I had a friend who I originally met this friend through the Pterodactyls, who said to me, did you ever think about working at the Vera Project? And at that time I was like, no, I thought it was all volunteers. Why would I do that? I need a job. But the friend was like, no, they pay the show managers. And that's when I started getting involved with Vera, which is I think where I met both of you guys. And then also at the end of that same year, my roommate said, hey, I've been hosting open mic at Columbia City Theater, and I bet they could use a door person. And so she introduced me to Mark, who we all know. He was the GM of Columbia City Theater. He's now the assistant GM at the Showbox. Okay. Yeah. And that's when I started. Yeah. Through my roommate. Every single job I've ever gotten has been through somebody I knew. Like each of those stories that I've told you today were like, I knew somebody who invited me to come work at the thing with them. So I came to work at the thing.
And as big as the industry is, it really comes down to interpersonal relationships with people, because, you know, you're gonna need to be given a shot by somebody. And a lot of times it's gonna be the person, you know, either somebody doesn't show up to work and people are like, oh shit, like we need somebody to work security today, and you get called in, or something like that happens. So, you know, don't just assume that your interaction with somebody is going to stay this small interaction. It can go across the country. People can hear about it because everybody talks, and there's a big network of people. So
for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely true. If I'm wondering, so now you're kind of juggling what you're doing door and house management at one venue. Are you still doing merch?
A lot.
You're selling merch a lot, and you said, is that mostly in an arena setting, or where?
Well, so I am like on the staff at Climate Pledge for merch. So that's the most like institutional merch job I have. I did just sell merch for ASAP Rocky last week.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So you're doing,
but also I sell merch all over town when it's usually production managers at smaller venues, you know, call me up, or usually it's send me a text saying like, hey, we want to sell for this person on this day. In fact, last night I sold merch for the opener at the Showbox. It was a smaller folk artist.
Nice.
Super nice
cool
dude. So I just do little gigs like that all over town. I'm at the Neptune pretty often doing that. That's where I saw you most recently, Joel.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm happy still doing the shows there. I love that room.
Yeah,
can we just kind of explain a little bit? So most of the time, if you're going to a small venue and you're a local band, you sell your own merch after a show. True. If you're a bigger band on tour, a lot of times you have a merch person that comes with you, but sometimes you don't. And if you don't, then you ask the venue to help you find somebody to sell merch.
Yeah, that's right. And also sometimes bands who do have a touring merch person need a second, like they need a local, like a backup second seller. So they usually ask in the advance, the production.
So do you get hit up by bands directly?
Occasionally, now that I've been doing it for a few years and I know people,
so you're out there
when they're coming back through town, they'll invite me back with them. Most often, though, it is through the production managers at the venues.
Right.
And that is like in those cases, they're just acting as like a connector. I'm not in those situations employed by the venue. Like my employer each night is the artist, but the production manager is the one who knows the band and knows the merch sellers, so they introduce us.
And in that scenario, do you have to then is it like a set rate? Because I know at different venues the merch person gets paid different amounts.
That's true. Most of the venues that I'm aware of in Seattle do have like a standard rate. Sometimes like there are circumstances that make sense to negotiate.
Right.
Like for example, sometimes I use my own devices. I have my own card readers. And in those cases, and my own iPad, that if I'm using my own stuff, I'd usually charge an extra fee. If there's extra time spent, like if I'm settling the merch for the show, that's probably an extra fee as opposed to just setting up and selling and leaving.
Right. And if do you have to count in the merch, or does
depends on the day?
Depends on the day. So if people,
that's what she was. Sorry, I just was going to say. I think that she was just kind of distinguishing there. Like there are gigs where you walk in and it's all set up for you, and you just sell.
That's true.
There are gigs where you have to. If she's responsible for the count out, so she's actually settling merch too.
Right.
Yeah, so if people don't kind of understand, like when a band shows up with all of their merch at a big serious venue, the venue will require the band to have all of their merch counted so that they know at the end of the night they'll count it all again and they know how many of X item was sold. That doesn't happen on the smaller scale venues.
Depends.
Yeah, that's right.
Most of the time, the venues that I work at, the 200-person venues, you're not counting.
Oh,
in
no,
merch
no,
for
no,
bands.
Totally. Yeah. Like for ASAP Rocky, we counted in and out, and for the folk singer last night, I did not count in and out.
Yeah.
But also nobody like there just wasn't a count.
Yeah.
It wasn't somebody else counted for me.
Yeah.
They just I started with 3 boxes of merch and ended with 2 boxes of merch.
Counts itself.
Yeah.
This conversation makes me think of when my sister worked at Studio 7 with us. The LA Guns came through and needed a merch person, and my sister at this time hadn't worked in, she'd never sold merch, I don't think, and I was just like, Anna, do this job. And I guess I did a bad job of like negotiating her pay, or something happened. And at the end of the night, I was like, cool. Hey, did you get paid? She sold a bunch of merch for everybody. And she was like, he just gave me some pizza. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I still remember, I should have like chased the guy down and yelled at him or something. But I was like, what? So,
another big thing about merch these days, it's been a big change since the pandemic, in my experience, is tips on merch. There's always been, usually a merch seller would have a tip jar out and like a sign that's like, help me buy treats for my cat or something. And maybe they'll go home with 20 extra bucks. But since the pandemic, the card reading, the digital systems that we use all have tips built in. And so it is that dreaded, like the iPad gets turned to you, and most of us merch sellers have our own tip speech. So what I always say is like, no pressure at all, but just so you know, any tips do go to me. But there's no wrong answer on this page. So like you can totally hit no tip and I'm not going to be mad about it. But I want you to know, if you're thinking about tipping, it's not going to the band or the venue.
Right.
It's
that's good to know. That's good to know.
I think my tip speech is especially good. I usually artists usually tell me like that's the most tips I've ever seen.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Like last night the folk singer was like, whoa, that's double what the average has been on this tour.
Holy shit. All right.
I have a technical question, because I've seen this pattern, and I'm kind of wondering about this. You could be the one to dispel it. I've seen a lot of situations where the artists are they're like, use our device, and then the tips, but then they don't give you the electronic tips and you only get the cash tips. How do you settle out the electronic tips that go to if you're using the artist's device?
Well, first of all, if that was presented to me as the case, I would not take that gig. Also, I think that's illegal. I'm pretty sure, at least in Washington.
I hate to say this, but I've seen it a lot.
There are laws in Washington, at least, that the person doing the work gets the tips. Like, that's a law.
Okay. So next time I see that on an advance, I'll bring that up to him.
Yeah. Yes. But anyway, the answer to that is like, I can see the reports. I know what the tips are. And sometimes if I feel like maybe they're gonna, maybe I don't trust this person, I'll like take a photo with my phone of the screen of their device.
Good. No, this is all helpful, man, because we've all seen first time sellers. Not always
get handed a box of pizza at the end of the night.
That's all I'm gonna say. Not always having a positive experience. So.
Totally. Well, but also, I got started selling merch with gigs like that one that Ian described, of like my first couple of merch gigs were at the Vera Project in Columbia City Theater when suddenly a band showed up and they need somebody to sell merch and I'm free. All right. Yeah, I could probably do that. And like maybe they'll pay me $75. And like this was in the time before the device tips were on. So it was really only just $75 if I'm lucky, or like maybe I get a free t-shirt that day. but that was then how I had experience when the real gigs started coming. I could say I have merch experience. And
Sure, and that's not to say that, you can't, like you were saying, you negotiate directly with the band. You're not working for the venue. But I think there's an assumption that if you're doing work, you're going to get paid and not just a box of pizza, especially if you're a bigger touring band. Although I can't remember which version of LA Guns it was. So, who knows?
Now.
Anyway, I just remember my sister was just like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah,
you did all this work. And it's not like
that
she
at all.
wanted an LA Guns shirt or anything. So that wasn't going to be a selling point for her.
Yeah.
But
I do like following Tracy Guns.
Tracy Guns.
Have you seen his socials? Oh, he's
no.
a massive anti-Trumper, and he's hilarious. He's a really funny
Wouldn't have guessed that. Huh. Well, all
right. I know. See, am I blowing minds here or what?
A little bit.
Hey, he's a public figure, so I'm going to mention him. But yeah, I actually follow him because he's quite funny all day long. He's just trashing these,
Maybe he pays his merch sellers these days.
Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe he pays his merch sellers these days.
Maybe he does. That's what I'm wondering. Has that changed at all? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Because I did not expect Tracy Guns to be that guy. But yes. But yeah, anyway. I appreciate that because merch has been an ever-changing world, it seems, the last 10 years. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It seemed like it was like one way to deal with merch for like many years, and then all of a sudden, like slightly pre-COVID, but then obviously post-COVID, everything changed in so many ways.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I'm not going to mention where I've seen that, but yeah, I've seen bands send out an advance that says we need a merch seller. They'll use our device. They keep the cash. And I'm just like,
oh, that's bullshit.
I mean, there
are bands that just don't turn on credit card tips, which also when I'm aware of that in advance, I'm not going to take that gig. And there are also bands that put up a sign with their Venmo that is like, you can tip the band this way.
Yeah,
that's fine. But if it's credit card tips on the device while selling merch, that's for the merch seller or nothing.
Good. Well, you know what? Whether I'm the only one that had the question or thousands of people have the question.
Yeah, now people know.
People know.
You, someone who does
Don't
this,
let that shit stand.
Yeah. Because it was a little shocking to me, but in my role, I don't do the negotiating for the merch seller.
Sure.
What I do is I either let the venue handle it, or if I do hire my own merch sellers sometimes, but I'll contact them and then I'll be like, here is the person that's paying you, because to me it's really important. I've had bad situations where I'm sitting there and as a production manager, I'm trying to go like a little further because I like the merch seller. They're a friend of mine. They're doing me a favor. So I try to negotiate them a good deal or whatever. And, I find out that I've had a few situations where it didn't go down the way I negotiated it, and then another party will say, oh no, it was like this. And then somebody won't ask me for verification. And then before you know it, totally did not happen the way I set out. And that, and I was like, then they would get me involved and it would just, a lot of back and forth. And I'm like, here's the thing. This has nothing to do with me other than I need to hire a merch person. So I want the merch people to start negotiating with the people who are paying them.
Sure.
And I'll coach them. I'll tell the merch person, hey, you got to fucking, tell them what you need.
I will just say, keep receipts. If somebody tries to call me to negotiate something, I say, this is a great phone call, but let's send an email. So it's
absolutely.
in an email.
Everything should be backed. But the other thing I want to say with that is you should always initiate with, like, if you need to get a hold of someone's not responsive, initiate with phone calls, because phone calls kind of surprise people these days, and they're just like, "Whoa, a phone call! What is this?" And it's a good way to like be like, "All right, I'm going to send you an email with these details, okay?" It's a good way to get everybody on the same page, But yeah, always back with the phone call with an email.
Yeah. I have a question. So when you're selling merch, if you're not working for the venue and you're working for the band, how do you like, I don't know if you want to talk about this, something like that. Yeah. Like, do you have to form your own business, or is there like a company that you could start where you hire all the merch people?
I mean, I think, but like, it would be possible to form an LLC, but I don't know. A guy told me one time 15 years ago, if you're not making $400,000, it's not worth the money to do the LLC, because you can also just file taxes as a sole proprietor, a freelancer, independent contractor.
1099.
I keep a record of all my income, and I do report all my income. It's just like a lump dollar amount that I say I made this amount of freelance income. And
and that taxes is like a whole other thing that we can talk about. But like that is a thing that surprises bands, because in Washington, I think if you get paid over $300 or $600, you have to $600. You've got to report this stuff. Like, you can't just and it's serious for the venues, because they get the brunt of this stuff. And so I know when we pay bands, we're collecting W-9s and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's another thing that's that's another thing that changed around the code. Look, I have a visitor. It's George. Hey,
I'm George. It's really rare that I get asked for a W-9 as a merch seller, but whenever I do, like, I've got it ready. And occasionally they ask me to send an invoice as well. Usually if they're asking for a W-9, they're also asking for an invoice, but that's like 1 out of every 20 merch gigs I have. I got it locked and loaded whenever they want it.
That's super smart.
Thanks for bringing that up, because anybody starting out at like, doing hustles and doing some merch selling and some this and some of that, anybody that doesn't have you on payroll, be prepared to have a W-9 ready, because you'll be 1099, and a lot of people won't even tell you when you start working with them, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're going to send you a 1099."
Oh, by the way.
So like, always make sure to have that like in an electronic way, just to be able to forward it. Bands too, local bands, I had my last gig, I had to like chase down local bands a couple of days after to like get all that, and I usually won't do it, but I knew them. Usually it's like a lot of people, if they don't know you, they will not pay you until they have
totally. Showbox, we won't pay an artist until we have Showbox definitely the tax forms.
So
beware of that.
But these are technical issues that I think people should learn about. And I was just noticing, are we on any time restrictions?
I got half an hour until I got another call.
Yeah, okay, but you probably need a little space between the two, I would imagine.
Probably 20 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. So and here's the thing, I see how this episode is developing, and I think it's like seriously a good like walk through all these different things. So with that said,
jump around through.
I mean, just keep.
Sorry, I mean, we're like squirrels or something.
Huh? What?
We're like squirrels.
Like.
Oh no! I'm just saying. I just want to keep walking through, and like any like deeper dives, we should just do another time. It's all.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm super down with just keep doing this walkthrough. And then like other times we'll do like deeper dives into specific things. So that said, if I'm just pulling us along, that's why. But I wanted to know, tell us about house managing a little bit, just the mechanics of it.
Sure. Yeah. And
what is a house manager, for crying out loud?
So I started to mention when I was talking about box office about the different managers, especially at a venue around the size of the Showbox. Other venues, smaller venues, usually have less smaller, less managers, and bigger venues usually have those managers, but then with like a huge structure under each of them. But yeah, in my experience, it is pretty standard to have a production manager and a house manager, and they're both in different ways responsible for running the show. The house manager in particular is looking after the guest experience. If we were working at a restaurant, we would call it front of house, but that is a confusing term.
Yes.
Front of house means sound engineer at a music venue. But sometimes it also gets classed as operations, we might call it that. But as a house manager, my typical day is arriving usually 2 to 3 hours before the doors. The production manager has been there for a long time already because they're the ones who get there when the band loads in. But you don't need me until more of the staff is coming in and the show is really about to get underway. Setting up, any physical stuff around the venue, making sure the chairs and tables and stanchions are all in the right places and the signs are hung in the right spots. Get systems set up for the box office and the coat check. And then I kind of settle into a big part of that job at the Showbox, at least, is the settlement. Getting the settlement ready for the artists or usually their management.
So that's compiling all the tickets sold in advance, day of show, online versus cash, compiling all those numbers and getting payment ready for.
Yeah, but also what takes such a long time out of my day is also the expenses that get subtracted off the top before we do the percentage of ticket sales that they get. So I have to track down, make sure everything's organized, like receipts for stuff like hospitality, any production rentals. Sometimes there's a forklift rental or a CO2 or a video wall.
Video wall. Jeez, you are next level, man.
Actually, Showbox owns a video wall that we.
I saw actually at the last show there. Last time I was there, I saw it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great they have that in there now because
totally, dude. It's new since I started working there too. Yeah,
I've had people trying to squeeze in video walls into like Elko, man, like 9 feet of stage clearance, 9 vertical feet of stage clearance. I tell everybody that in advance. I'm always like 9 vertical feet. That means I can stretch my arm out. 9 vertical feet.
Yeah.
So all right, real quick. One time, band not to be named. I told them, man, you can't build your whole drum riser. Just maybe take one of the legs out and make it shorter because the lights are up there. They're like right there. And this is the pre-LED days. So as we all know, these things will burn your flesh right the hell off. And I warned the guy. I'm sitting there aside, and then we finally build the whole thing, and they did it their way. And I'm sitting there side stage because I'm waiting. I know it's only a matter of time because the drummer's head and the light are this far apart from each other. And so I'm sitting there side stage with a bunch of waters that I had punctured holes in the top so you can just squeeze them out. And I'm sitting there just waiting. And sure enough, drummer's head starts like kind of steaming. And then steam is like, you're not sure if it's smoldering. He was wearing like a hat. And he like took it off and he looks and I went over and I felt it. It was hella hot, right? And so I gave him 2 of the waters with the squirters on top. And he did it. And then all this steam came up. It was like the most messed up situation because they wouldn't take some fucking legs off their fucking set. I just, you can, these are the type of things that can happen on any day. But I just wanted like, with the people when Jenn brought up the whole LED screens is like LED walls is like, man, that's the new version of 20 years ago, people would be like, no, I got to have all my lights. And they're all hot. And we're like, dude, 9 vertical feet. It's
totally. Yeah.
I don't think you need all your lights personally. LED walls are the new version of that. They want to fit their 20-foot LED wall in 9 vertical feet.
Yeah.
That kind of discussion happens in the advance between the production manager.
Right. That's a production thing. Sorry.
But, no, I mean, it's fine. But yeah, then when it comes to the day of show,
you have to account for it. You have to
account for it. Yeah, exactly.
So you're building a settlement now. And what you're doing is you have to go figure out how many house extras, because the house comes with standard stuff as per the agreement between the band and the house, or the promoter and the house.
Yep.
You're the house manager, you're day of person in the trenches. And you're then also have to account for the sake of the venue. You have to make sure, like, if they use extras, right. So you have
or their staff overtime
stuff is I do have to look at labor as well. The house standard stuff, which is a certain amount of labor and equipment and stuff, that comes as a flat charge, which is called the house flat, or sometimes disgustingly, in my opinion, you know what I'm gonna say, they also call it the house nut.
Yeah.
Why do we have to say
let's not talk about that.
I've made so many jokes. That's all I'm saying. The amount of jokes I've made about house nut.
I hate talking about the house nut.
I don't like it. You brought it up.
I know. I hate talking to bands about the house nut.
Oh God, yeah. Let's change that to the what did you call it?
It's on all the contracts.
Yeah.
Like it says.
Some people call it a room fee. If it's a rental, then it's just the rental fee or the room fee. Yeah.
So basically, there's like a budget, and you are kind of on the venue side, keeping track of everything. Did we go over budget, under budget? Where are we? And then you have to reconcile all those numbers before the bands get paid and everything else happens at the end of the night.
And then
totally, yeah. So through a show, I'm doing all that accounting math, which does take like hours usually.
Yeah.
While also like looking after the room and my staff in the show. Yep. So I usually it's like I get a call and I got to go check on something and I do the thing and then I return to the math and then I get a call and got to go do a thing and then it's math time. So in between the math time, it's like making sure everybody in the room is safe. Making sure.
Let's talk about everything that you could be sitting here doing deep ass math.
Yeah.
That represents tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then all the things that you can get while you're doing that, things you get called away for that you have to get up out of your chair in the middle of that and to go tend to. It could be like fights, illnesses. I mean, I want to hear from you.
Totally, yeah. Usually it is security handling fights and most kind of illnesses, but usually if it's serious, like they want the house manager there at least be present. If it's bad, there's occasionally calling 911. I have called 911 several times as a house manager. Sometimes somebody's having a problem with security on the way in where they don't agree that their thing can't be taken into the venue. Like,
I can't bring this 8-foot sword in. Come on.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of thing, like probably they don't even need to talk to me, but sometimes, a big thing about live events that we haven't talked about is a lot of times somebody just needs to hear the same thing from a second face before they believe that it's real.
Yep.
So a lot of times I am like, you got to call the manager over to say the same thing that the staff already said. So no, they're right. You can't bring that sword in here. But sometimes it is a judgment call. So I'll get a call like, hey, can they bring in like a 12 by 15 sign to hold up? And like, if the show's not sold out, I might say yes to that. Yeah. If it is super packed, I'm probably saying no.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Last night I wasn't the house manager, but I watched an interaction happen where there was a young lady who had like a medical condition with her eyes, that she had these really special eye drops that came in a metal container. And security was like, you can't bring in a metal bottle. Like, that is a flat rule. They're right to say that rule. You can't bring in metal bottles to the show. But they were like, we need to talk to the manager about this. So the house manager had to go out and be like, oh, this is a real medical thing. Like, we're going to make an exception this time. Like, that's like, you need somebody who can make those kind of judgment call exceptions.
For sure.
That's a lot of shit to deal with, you know. That's what I've always told people. I go, house management jobs are like, that's a job because it's like the thing.
Totally, yeah. Like, sometimes when I describe it sounds like nothing. Like I sit at my desk a lot and do math, and then sometimes somebody calls me to take care of something. When I'm not having like a half-hour discussion about what it is, it sounds super easy sometimes.
Sometimes you have to mediate, though, right? Like, you have to mediate the wildest shit. You're just like,
and that's why the math takes so long, because you can't just sit there and do the math. You're getting up constantly to go deal with some dumbass shit.
Well, also, then you also have to collect numbers from all your like department heads normally, right? You have to get from the production manager, I guess, in this case.
And there is like there's post settlement math to do as well for the house. That is a whole separate page on the settlement form for us. That page is called ancillaries for us, which is where we calculate the food and bev income, and we have like paid upgrade seating that goes on that page. And then like ticketing fees, which is a real freaking headache that I don't even really want to talk about much, but I have to do a lot of math with it that goes into that thing. So there's like a couple hours of further math to do in the week following the show before the settlement's all the way complete.
Okay, so that's good to talk about. So you're not only working day of show as the house manager, you're doing additional work post show the day or two.
Just like after? Tying up loose ends. Okay. Invoices don't come in until a couple days later sometimes, especially for our labor contractors, like the our security and our cleaners. And the accountants calculate the labor costs for the in-house labor, which they usually do pretty quick, as we've discussed. Shannon is amazing. But sometimes that's like wait a couple days for that to come through also. So
a lot more settlements are happening in post nowadays, you know.
A
lot of settlements used to be like night of and that's it, you know. Leave
it's true. But I really prefer to settle with the artist the night of. It's it makes me feel like, God, like, don't make me do this, when when they're like, please just send the settlement to our manager and they'll sign it and send it back to you.
But I
like, no, I want to take care of this right now. And like, I can write you a check, or I can set up the wire and then we're done with it. Otherwise, like, especially if it's sending a wire, we also have this whole confirmation thing that we have to like, it can't be done over email. I have to talk to them on the phone if I'm not talking to them in person to like fill out this wire confirmation form. It sucks. I don't want to do it. I want to do it the night of. But there is some.
Well, it's more gratifying to like, you know, like I said, we're carnies. We're setting up a show. We're seeing it through, and then we're bringing the tent down. And it's more gratifying to bring the tent down when you get to like seal up the financials and everything else. But I noticed that the more corporate things are getting, and the more wires, just like wire payments. So
I hate that.
I know, but you know what? Okay, I'll tell you what. Okay, here you go. From my standpoint as a production manager / promoter rep, it's great. It's a whole
you're like, all right, have a good one.
Giant segment of my job that I don't. I mean, I used to.
I can see that.
Well, I still have to make the settlement. I still settle. One of my jobs I settle. The other one they have settlement people. But and the one I have to do the settlement still. I still have to do that. But it's like if there's anything wrong, there's an understanding now that if I make a mistake, it's not just that's it. You'll never hear from them again. It's like there's an understanding now. They can go back and correct it in post.
Yeah, this has to be made right.
And that started
They
happening.
use the phrase, they need to be made whole.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's and also, but I feel like it's also because so many like with the corporatization and of it all, there's a lot more like fees that need to be accounted for, and a lot of them are like, you know, like they have to pay this at the end of the year, so they have to collect the fees, you know, so it's there's just more attention to that kind of detail than there used to be. So, you know, there's a hell of a lot more bean counters than there used to be too. So, but you know, it's all because of auditing and you know,
we will talk about that on a future episode with an accountant.
Well, you know what? I think we've opened a lot of avenues here.
Remember when I said, you know what, this is going to be about 45 minutes. You know, we'll wrap it up quick. I know.
Have we had a 45-minute episode yet?
The first couple of ones were about 45 minutes, and it's just, you know, because we're having fun. But you've got a hard out in about 14 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up so you can get out of here. Thank you so much.
One thing. You know, last night thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I thought through like what would be one thing as a venue worker I would want to tell the public, and what the biggest answer I came up with is don't use third-party resellers for tickets. Unless for some reason you really have to. Like I'm talking about StubHub and Vivid Seats, that kind of thing. Like they pay for the Google results to be the first results. So if you're just searching like band name plus Seattle show, that's going to come up first before the official ticketing links. But they make life so much harder for you and the people at the venue. Even if it might save you $10 on a ticket or something, it's going to cost you that in hassle. And there's no guarantee that you're ending up with real tickets. Most of the more accredited sites like StubHub they call it a guarantee, but the guarantee is like either your ticket's going to work or we'll refund you. It's not, we promise we've checked, these are real tickets. Because every single show we end up with people who got fake StubHub tickets. And almost all of the bigger venues at this point have a resale platform, both AEG venues, that's what Showbox is, and Live Nation. Once the tickets are sold out, it just flips into resale so that customers can resale on that platform, and those are guaranteed in a way more safe, clear way than StubHub or Vivid Seats or hey man, I got your tickets here.com.
Valuable because it breaks my heart every time I see people pay like 4 times the face value.
People are coming up to me with like their credit card receipts saying, look, I paid $300 for this ticket. I'm like, why would you do that? It's right here online for $32. Like, start at the venue's website. That's how you know that they're real tickets. The venue's website is where to start. That's what I want the entire world to know.
All right. We will clip this and we will put this out into the world a million times.
And I also want to tag on one little bit. When you do a Google search for a show you want to buy a ticket for, don't click the top link because that's usually an ad for
that's
a
what I'm saying. Paid ads to land at the top of the Google.
Go down past, and you can look at the
website.
You look in the corner, it'll say paid ad. And it'll say search results. Start at search results. Click on the venue.
That's great advice. Thank you, Jen.
Great advice, Jen. Thanks for bringing that up because
we are going to have you back because I want to go in depth on the Band Mom stuff.
We have to talk about Band Mom.
Go to thebandmom.com. We'll put that out into the world as much as we can, and we'll bring you back. Thank you. This is the longest time episode we've had. So sorry for doing that. Thank you very much. And from a box office expert, buy your tickets directly from the venue. Don't get screwed over. Thank you very much. And tip your merch people hella money
Directly.
because they're doing legit work.
Yeah,
you know, another
work
thing
hard.
I wrote on that list for myself is that I'd want people to know is for any of the tipped positions, it makes a huge difference in that person's life. Even
For
if
sure.
it's a $1 tip, you're making a difference for them. And if it might look like they did no work, like they just turned around and grabbed a shirt, why are you tipping for that? But they did a ton of work before you got there, setting things up, and they're going to do a ton of work after you leave. It's not only the one reach that they're getting paid for.
And that's exactly why we're doing this, because people don't know that. They don't know that you got there 3 hours before or staying 2 hours after the show, whatever. They don't know that. So thank you for being here to share that with everybody. And we'll have you back sometime soon. We'll when we get better at this.
Yeah. Oh, we're excited. This is I think this is gonna be a great episode, this one.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a total walkthrough. So thank you for taking us on that. And
we're gonna get you out of here though, and Joel and I are gonna wrap this up, but get to your other call. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate your time.
Truly
Thank you.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Good to see you. Bye.
Oh, great seeing you again. Yeah, we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
Whoa, hour and a half. But you know what? That was a killer walkthrough of someone's like path and choices and etc. Because I mean, that's, you know, there are so many different ones, but that to me is like, there's so much bravery and there's so much like, you know, dedication and tenacity shown when you do make some of these things, make some of these choices that Jenn has made. And you know, there's a ton to learn from it, because not everybody, well, a lot of people struggle through, but not everybody has the same way of struggling through. And a lot of people, not everybody has to struggle through. So it's like, you know, they may not know, but I think it's important that if you're like doing this and you know that, you know, how some of your, like, let's say this is, you know, you work in this industry and you're doing well and all that, whatever, and you just applied and got a job or something. That's great. The industry is catching up to that kind of thing. But a lot of people, you know, the other way is like by just showing up and being there and showing your worth. And a lot of people had to do it that way. And I think it's great to get that story, but it's also good for other people who that's not their story, but they work in this industry, for other people to see, dang, some of the people I work with, the shit they went through, the way the things they did to make it, you know, to achieve what they wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's important for people to know what other people have gone through, because it gives us a better understanding. And it's also ultimately it leads to like working together better, you know?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, and it helps show people that it's not so scary to get into this, and you can take chances. And there's a lot of opportunities for work. You can sell merch, you can work at the box office, you work security, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can volunteer at a place like Vera Project. If you've got the ability to volunteer at a place like the Vera Project or Real Art, like we were saying last week. But that was really cool. I feel like we could have talked to Jenn for 6 hours or something. So we'll definitely have to have Jenn back.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an hour and a half for just walkthrough of her experience. That to me means that there's definitely a lot of we can definitely deep dive and, you know, get her perspective on a lot of other issues and related. Yeah, I want to see Jenn more, and you know, I look forward to when we start doing panel discussions. I think, you know, Jenn's way of looking at things and stuff is really valuable. And I'm stoked. I like that episode. I like this episode, the way it's gone so far. Like, I know it's just been like kind of a just
that's the kind of cool thing about doing this, is sometimes we have like a very structured like interview that we want to do, and but we're willing to just take it where it leads us, because that's
Yeah.
kind of how working in music is. It's like, what's
I
the cool thing that's happening
Yeah.
now? And
I mean, there's that, and I also liked how, like with Tom, for instance, we kinda, like, pulled over and talked
Mhm,
about like, we were doing that same thing, kinda like walking through his
mhm,
journey, and then we'd pull over and do a big discussion about
yeah,
something, and we definitely could have done that with Jen, but the thing is, I feel like Jen's what with Jen, it's more of a there's a lot of technical aspects, how
yeah,
these jobs work, how you do these, that I think it would have been lost if we would have pulled over and just gotten into, deep dove into like one thing or the other,
sure,
because I feel like that would have we would have lost the narrative of her
sure,
journey. So
yep,
I like that they were both, this episode and last episode with Tom. They're both different, but they're both incredibly useful and informative and inspiring. So
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, that was great. Um, yeah, so next week, we're not gonna have a guest. It's just gonna be me and you, and
What are we gonna talk?
we're gonna talk about uh a topic that a lot of people are talking about right now, is touring broken.
Ah, yes. So now we have
You sent me that article. I was reading it. We've been talking about it for a long time,
right.
especially now with gas prices and everything else, all everything being more expensive. Is touring broken? Are bands still able to go
Yeah.
on tour and be successful touring? Yeah, I'm excited to get into that topic.
Me too. And what the doors that's gonna open for the guests that we can have to follow up on that are
Yep.
gonna be awesome, because we have some great friends and acquaintances that have all been through various existence in the touring world, and
Yeah.
I would love to talk about it. Is touring broken? Touring has changed a lot.
Yep.
Um, there's been some unsettling news from some camps that are like have made announcements about touring less, but at the same time, there's every day there's new energetic young bands hitting the road. So
Yep.
there's so much to talk about, and there's so many different perspectives. Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's
That'll
gonna be a
be
good one.
might be a little for everybody, you know, might need to bring your hanky with you, but also at the same time, it's gonna be fun because we'll have. I mean, the touring world. I feel like we've been the last 5 episodes. We've done a good job of like talking to independent, opening up the doors on independent venues and things they go through, and what you know um and today talking to Jen about some corporate venue stuff has been illuminating, and I still want to get further into that, but I enjoy this turn we're going to take, because touring is a whole universe by itself, really. So,
Mhm. Yep.
and there's a lot of people that have come from all walks of life and are in on the touring thing. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Yep. All right. Well,
All
check
right.
out Jen's site, thebandmom.com. We'll put
Definitely.
links to it everywhere. If you're in a band, thebandmom.com can help you get airplay on radio stations all over the US and Canada, independent college radio promo.
Check her out.
That that's the thing. Jen's awesome. And if you need a merch seller, hit her up. Jen
Absolutely.
rules.
Absolutely. Jen should be,
Um,
if you're a production manager or anybody that hires a merch person, Jen should be in your
100%.
contacts. Yeah.
And give the show a like, subscribe on our YouTube. We're trying to up the YouTube numbers.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Tell your
Please.
friends.
We need your
Share
help
this.
for
And
sure.
yeah, we will talk to you next week. Thank you
All
very
right.
much for sticking around.
And then we'll have some guest announcements by then too.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. So thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
all right. Goodbye.